Welcome to Lakshya Academy YouTube channel. Good morning, all. Today we are going to talk about exchange of gases and transport of oxygen. Exchange of gases already some part of it covered in the previous part. This is the breathing and exchange of gases chapter NCRT test as per NCRT textbook. It is one of the chapters, 17th chapter first year textbook. In state textbook in first unit it is part 1B. Okay, in this breathing and exchange of gases, now we are in the 10th part. Okay, we are first talking about briefly exchange of gases, then we go to transport of oxygen. Exchange of gases. Okay, here exchange of gases, I told you earlier in the previous sessions, there are 5 steps in the respiration. First one is breathing or pulmonary ventilation. Okay, after that, the second step is exchange of gases. Exchange of gases here and exchange of gases here and transport of gases, third step. Fourth one, exchange of gases between blood and tissue, and the fifth one is cellular respiration. Okay, these are the 5 steps in the respiration. Okay, we discussed the first topic, what is that breathing or pulmonary ventilation. We learned mechanism of breathing. Okay, then in the next part we learned exchange of gases also. Here let us see this diagram, very important. Okay, this diagram was asked directly in the previous NEET exams, and what can we do from this diagram? If you observe, partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide are different at a different places. Okay, in the alveolar air, what is the partial pressure of oxygen? What is meant by partial pressure? The pressure contributed by each gas in a mixture of gases is called partial pressure. The partial pressure of oxygen is represented as PO2. The partial pressure of carbon dioxide is represented as PCO2. The partial pressure of oxygen in atmosphere, I told you earlier, it is 159. 159, it is the partial pressure of oxygen. Partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolus is 104 mmHg. Okay, they ask bits here. What is the partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolar air? The partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolar air is 104 mmHg. The partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 40 mmHg. 40 mmHg. What are the partial pressures of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the alveolus? Oxygen 104 and PO of carbon dioxide 40 mmHg. As the now, okay, here the partial pressure in the, this is the, okay, first let us see what are the names of these blood vessels. This is the pulmonary vein, which is bringing oxygenated blood to the left atrium. From the left atrium, the blood comes to left ventricle, and through the left ventricle, it is going to the systemic, and through systemic capillaries, it is from the systemic capillary that is taken by the cells, tissues, cells in the tissue, and then again blood is coming here through the systemic veins, and finally it is it is released into the right atrium, from right atrium to right ventricle pumping it through pulmonary artery to the lungs. Okay, these are the blood vessels. This is the pulmonary vein, these are the pulmonary systemic arteries, these are the systemic veins and the pulmonary artery. Okay, this red part, this blue part, this red part or purple part, pink part, it represents the pulmonary vein. Okay, this one, oxygenated blood is on which side of, on the left side of our heart, blood is present, oxygenated blood. Okay, this is the right side of our heart. On the right side of our heart, what deoxygenated blood present. Deoxygenated blood is present on which side? Right side of our heart. Who is bringing this oxygenated blood to the pulmonary pulmonary vein? Who is carrying that oxygenated blood from the heart away from the heart? Systemic artery. Who is bringing the deoxygenated blood to the heart from the body parts? Systemic Okay, is carrying deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation, pulmonary artery. Okay, you have to remember these blood vessels. Okay, right. Okay, we learned partial pressures of oxygen and carbon dioxide here in the alveolar. Okay, pulmonary artery. In the pulmonary artery, the partial pressure. In the pulmonary artery, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is PO2. PO2. Observe here, this is 40. Here also 40. The partial pressure of O2 is 40 mmHg. You have given here. And the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is, what is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide here? 45. Here also 45. Okay, observe here. In the alveolar end, what is the partial pressure of oxygen? 104. 104. Okay, what is the partial pressure of oxygen in the pulmonary artery? 40. Where is more? Here less. Here in the alveolar it is more. Now, as the air moves from high partial pressure to low partial pressure, now observe here oxygen is moving from alveolar air into this one because here 104 is the partial pressure, here 40. Now come dioxide. What is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide here in alveolus? 40. What is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the pulmonary artery? It is 5 mmHg. Here more 45. Here less 40. Now the carbon dioxide is diffusing into the alveolar. Okay, external respiration, exchange of gases between blood and alveoli lungs. This is external respiration. Okay, now pulmonary vein. Now oxygen has entered here, carbon dioxide has left from here. Okay, now in the pulmonary vein, PO2 is partial pressure of O2. Partial pressure of O2. Oxygen is, okay, what is that? 95. You can observe here 95 mmHg. 95 mmHg. That is the partial pressure of oxygen here in the pulmonary vein. Why the partial pressure of oxygen? Compare these two. Here partial pressure of oxygen in the pulmonary artery is 40. Here the partial pressure of oxygen is 95. What is the difference? Sometimes they ask what is the difference between the partial pressure of. Here the difference, if you subtract 40 from 95, the difference is, what is that? 55 mmHg. That means here more oxygen, here less oxygen. Now come to the, in the pulmonary vein, what is the partial pressure of CO2, partial pressure of carbon dioxide. What is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide here in the pulmonary artery? 45. Okay, here in the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, as carbon dioxide left here. Okay, here the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is lesser than that one. It is 40 mmHg. The difference between these two, what is the difference between partial pressure of carbon dioxide in pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein? That is 5 mmHg. Okay, in that way we can bits can be asked. Sometimes they ask partial pressure of, difference between the partial pressure of oxygen present in the alveolar air and partial pressure of oxygen in the tissue. Here the partial pressure in the oxygen in the tissues is 40. Here in the tissues PO2 partial pressure of oxygen is 40 mmHg. Here 104. Okay, if you subtract these two, you get the 64. The difference between the partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolar air and in the tissues is for 60 mmHg. In that way, bits are asked here. Okay, now come here. Now the blood is coming, this oxygenated blood which has partial pressure of oxygen 95. Now it is taken from the heart, it is collected by the oxygenated blood, or more oxygen is present in the blood. Here, deoxygenated blood means no, it does not mean that it has no oxygen. It also has no oxygen, but okay, only here 40 mmHg, here 95. Okay, deoxygenated blood also has okay some amount of oxygen. It is how much? 40 mmHg. Oxygenated blood has 95 more. Okay, now as the partial pressure of oxygen here 95. Okay, as I told you here, the partial pressure of oxygen in the tissues is 40 mm. 40 mm. Here is more partial pressure. It is in the blood 95. Here 40. Now the oxygen is diffusing into the tissue cells. Okay, the partial pressure of CO2, PCO2 in the tissues is PCO2 in the tissues is 45. Okay, 45 mmHg, because here cellular respiration takes place, more carbon dioxide is produced. Here, what is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in this blood which is coming to here? 40. Here, 45. Now partial pressure is more in the tissue cells, it is diffusing into the blood. Okay, this exchange is called, as I told you in the previous part also, this is called internal respiration, exchange of gases between blood and tissue. This exchange is called as internal respiration. Okay, this is the pulmonary exchange of gases at lungs. This is the systemic gas exchange. Now let us see what are the differences between pulmonary gas exchange and systemic gas exchange. Pulmonary gaseous exchange and systemic gaseous exchange. Okay, this is called pulmonary gaseous exchange is called external respiration. Okay, it is called external respiration. Okay, systemic gas exchange, this is called internal respiration. This is internal respiration. Exchange of gases take place between alveoli and pulmonary capillaries. Here, exchange of gases take place between pulmonary capillaries and alveolus. Here, exchange of gases take place between systemic capillaries and tissue. Okay, this is the tissue. These are the here systemic capillaries. Exchange of gases take place between systemic capillaries and tissue. Okay, next one, look alveoli. Okay, O2. Okay, it is now here in the from the alveoli, oxygen is entering into the pulmonary capillaries. Okay, from the alveolus, oxygen is entering. That's why I showed here the arrow mark. Or from the alveoli, the oxygen is entering into pulmonary capillary. From the from the pulmonary capillary, I showed this arrow mark is in this direction. From the pulmonary capillary, the oxygen is entering into the alveolus. Okay, observe here. From the pulmonary capillary, the carbon dioxide is entering into the alveolus. Systemic, okay, here, okay, in the systemic gas exchange, from the systemic capillaries, oxygen is entering into the tissue. Okay, this is the systemic capillary. Systemic arteries divide into arterioles, and arteries end in capillary. Those are called here systemic capillary. From the systemic capillary, the oxygen is entering into the tissue. That is shown here. From the systemic capillary, the oxygen is entering into the tissue. From the tissue, okay, carbon dioxide is entering into the systemic capillaries. You can observe here from the tissue, the carbon dioxide is entering into this one. Deoxygenated blood becomes oxygenated here. Here the deoxygenated, this is the deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood has become oxygenated blood here because of this one. Okay, here, okay, the oxygenated blood has become, okay, becomes deoxygenated. Okay, here this is the oxygenated blood. When you observe here, it has become deoxygenated. Here deoxygenated blood, DOB, okay, has become OB, oxygenated blood. Here OB, oxygenated blood, has become deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood collected from the right part of the heart. Deoxygenated blood collected from the right part of the heart. Okay, this deoxygenated blood is collected from the right part of the heart. Okay, this is external, sorry. Okay, oxygenated blood collected from the left part of the part. Okay, oxygenated blood collected from the left part of the heart. Okay, here the oxygenated blood is collected from the deoxygenated blood is collected from the right side, and oxygenated blood is collected to this one systemic arteries from the left side of the heart. Oxygenated blood pumped to left part of the heart. Oxygenated blood pumped to. Oxygenated blood pump. Oxygenated blood pumped to. I am asking pulmonary regarding pulmonary circuit. Okay, oxygenated blood pumped to which part? Which side of the heart? Left side. And here deoxygenated blood pumped to right side of heart. Here deoxygenated blood to right side of the heart. These are the differences between pulmonary gas exchange and systemic gas exchange. Very very important. Okay, now we move on to the next one, transport of gases. Okay, okay. I told you in the previous parts that tidal volumes, different volumes, pulmonary volumes, and capacities are very important topic. The another important topic, the area where bits can be expected. Okay, that is the transport of gases. Okay, transport of several bits, not one or two. Many bits were asked from this part in the previous NEET exam. Okay, blood is the medium of transport. Blood transports both carbon dioxide and oxygen. Transport of oxygen. Oxygen is transported from lungs to tissues through two. One through RBC and another one through RBC. Another one plasma. Oxygen is transported from our lungs to the tissues. Who is transporting that? Okay, two things. Okay, you know that cockroach blood is colorless. Cockroach blood is color. Cockroach blood cannot transport oxygen to the tissues as a lack of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is option colorless blood. Work in the other animals, like if you take earthworm, oxygen is hemoglobin is present, but hemoglobin is dissolved in the plasma. That is the typical invertebrate character. But here in our body, our hemoglobin molecules are present in the RBC, red blood cells. Okay, oxygen is transported from where? From the lungs to the tissues through plasma and through RBC, by RBC in the blood, present in the blood. 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver 5 ml of O2 to the tissues under normal conditions. Okay, it is only delivering 5 ml. Actually, 100 ml of oxygenated blood 100 ml of oxygenated blood possesses around 20 ml of 20 ml of oxygen. Okay, remember this one. 100 ml of oxygenated blood in our body possesses 20 ml of 20 ml of oxygen, but it is delivering around 20 19, it is 19.4, around 20. Okay, if you observe here, it is only delivering 5 ml of O2 to the tissues under normal conditions. That means your oxygenated blood is not delivering entire oxygen to the tissue. It is only giving, if you subtract 20, if you subtract this 5 from the 20, you get the 15. Okay, around 15 ml of oxygen is present in the deoxygenated blood also. Okay, this is very important one. 100 ml of oxygenated blood. For example, we have in our body we have 5 liters of blood. Okay, 1 liter means 1000. In that 1 liter, 1 by 10th of the liter is 100 ml. Okay, in the 100 ml of blood, oxygenated blood I am talking, 100 ml of oxygenate, for example, in the pulmonary vein on the left side of the heart, we have oxygenated blood. In that 100 ml of oxygenated blood, okay, it is carrying 20 ml of oxygen around. Okay, around, okay, 19.4, around 20. But it is delivering only 5 ml of O2 to our tissues. Okay, that means, okay, it is not delivering all the oxygen possessed by oxygenated blood is not delivered to the tissues. Okay, if it is completely delivered to the tissues, next time whenever tissues asking increase, if it increase, for example, if you start doing exercise, your blood, oxygenated blood has to give more oxygen to your tissues. Okay, that's why it is keeping some amount of oxygen in reserve. That you have to remember. Okay, transport of gases. This is given in NCERT textbook. Blood is the medium of transport for oxygen and carbon dioxide. About 97% of oxygen is transported by RBC in the blood. About 97% of oxygen is transported by RBC in blood. 97%. The remaining 3% of oxygen, 97% by RBC, and remaining 3% by, okay, carried by dissolved state through the plasma. Nearly 20 to 11. What about carbon dioxide? I will show you that one here. Okay, transport of gases. What are the two respiratory gases? One is oxygen, another one is the carbon dioxide. These are called respiratory gases. Okay, now we are talking about those respiratory transport of these two gases. Okay, we are talking about oxygen, transport of carbon dioxide. Okay, 97% of 97 but okay, oxygen 97% is transported by RBC, and 3%, just 3% by the plasma. That means majority of oxygen is transported by RBC. Now come to the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide transported through plasma by RBC and also as bicarbonates. Here as plasma 7%. Okay, most of the carbon dioxide in our body, highest amount of carbon dioxide in our body is transported by as bicarbonates. It was given in this NEET exam. In our body, most of the carbon dioxide is transported in the form of bicarbonate 70. It is very important. It was given in previous NEET exam. Okay, this is the overall transport of gases, overall picture, how much okay, oxygen and carbon dioxide transported by different means. Now we are coming to transport of oxygen through plasma. I told you transport of oxygen through plasma 3%. Transport of oxygen through plasma 3% is carried, 3% of oxygen is carried through blood plasma. Okay, blood plasma has 92%, around 92% of water. Okay, you know that oxygen, some amount of oxygen, fishes are living in water because they have water dissolved oxygen, dissolved oxygen is present in water. Similarly, in our blood also, in the there is a plasma. Plasma has water. In that water also, some oxygen is dissolved. That is called dissolved. Okay, 3% of oxygen is carried through the blood plasma in which state? In dissolved state. Only 3% of O2 is transported through blood plasma. The reason is oxygen has low solubility. But if you observe here, plasma carbon dioxide is transported by plasma 7%, whereas O2 is transported by plasma only 3%. As we discussed earlier, solubility of one of the solubility of the gases. Okay, carbon dioxide has more solubility, more carbon dioxide is transported by plasma than oxygen because it has more solubility. Okay, assertion reason here, only 3% of O2 is transported through blood plasma. What is the reason? O2 has a low solubility. The reason is, okay, next, 97%, about 97% of oxygen is transported by RBC in the blood. Okay, before we go to, we have red blood cells, biconcave. The shape of the red blood cell was also asked in the recent NTA mock test paper. Okay, RBC are circular and biconcave. The shape of the RBCs, when you see from upper view, in upper view it is circular. When you see in the lateral view, okay, it is biconcave. Biconcave, it is one concavity, this is another convex concavity, and the two concave sides are, that's what is biconcave. Circular RBC are circular and biconcave in shape. Okay, in this RBC there are a lot of hemoglobin molecules. In mature RBC there is no nucleus. Why nucleus is absent? It was given in previous NEET exam. If nucleus is absent, it can accommodate more, it can accommodate more hemoglobin molecules. Therefore, hemoglobin can carry more oxygen to our tissue. That is a benefit of have enucleated RBC. But in camel and llama, which are mammals, which are also mammals, but in those camel and llama, nucleated RBC are present. Okay, in human beings, in other mammals, RBC are enucleated. What are these all? Are hemoglobin molecules. Hemoglobin is a red colored iron containing pigment. Okay, it is the respiratory, photosynthesis, photosynthetic chlorophyll. Chlorophyll pigment is a magnesium containing pigment. It is a green color pigment. This is the red color pigment. The chlorophyll consists of magnesium. Here hemoglobin consists of iron containing pigment. Okay, chlorophyll is present, it is present in the chloroplast, in the thylakoids of the chloroplast. Where is this hemoglobin is present? Hemoglobin is present in the RBC, red blood cells. Each hemoglobin molecule can carry a maximum of very important, okay, to 4 molecules of oxygen. That means 100 hemoglobin molecules can carry 400 molecule, not atoms, 400 molecules of oxygen. Each hemoglobin molecule can deliver a maximum of 4 oxygen molecules. You can see here. This is one hemoglobin molecule. Okay, it has a four chains here. Two alpha chains are present. This is one alpha chain. This is one alpha chain. This is one beta chain. This is one beta chain. Okay, they are arranged in opposite here. Okay, this is the hemoglobin structure. In each of a hemoglobin, this is the structure of oxyhemoglobin, oxygen binded with hemoglobin. If you observe the hemoglobin molecule, there are four polypeptide chains are there, two alpha chains, two beta chain. That's it. It was called tetramer. It is called tetramer. Hemoglobin is a tetramer. It is a conjugated protein. It is a sorry. Hemoglobin is a tetramer. It consists of four polypeptide chains. It is a conjugated protein because team 4 and it also consists of globin protein. Okay, it is a conjugated protein. It is a tetramer. It consists of four polypeptide chain, two alpha chain, two beta chains, and each chain consists of one heme. Here one heme is present. In that heme, okay, in this each chain there is a one heme group. In this heme group there is a iron. It is in Fe2 plus state, and hemo oxygen binds with this Fe plus 2 iron. Iron is important for the formation of hemoglobin. Okay, binding of oxygen with primarily related to partial pressure of O2. Why oxygen binding with hemoglobin at our lungs? When you breathe air, when you inhale air, okay, all gases enter into our lungs. Carbon dioxide enters, nitrogen, oxygen. Okay, our hemoglobin is binding with oxygen. What is the reason? Because okay, our lungs have in the alveoli have more oxygen. The partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolus is what? 104. 104. In our deoxygenated blood, it is 40 mmHg. Okay, binding of oxygen with hemoglobin. Binding of oxygen with hemoglobin. Oxygen molecule is bound. Oxygen molecule is bound with hemoglobin. This binding primarily depends on mainly partial pressure of O2. Partial pressure of O2. If partial pressure of O2 is more binding occurs. If partial pressure is low binding occurs. Okay, that is directly proportional. Okay, partial pressure of more oxygen, partial pressure of oxygen is more. Okay, more binding takes place up to certain point. Okay, binding of oxygen with hemoglobin. Binding of oxygen with hemoglobin primarily depends on partial pressure of oxygen. At our lungs, partial pressure of oxygen is more. That's why binding is more. At our tissues, partial pressure of oxygen is low. That's why okay, oxygen dissociation takes place. Okay, transport of oxygen. Hemoglobin is this is the NCRT textbook. One paragraph is given here related to transport of oxygen, but in our state we have much information related to transport of oxygen compared to NCRT. Hemoglobin is a red colored iron containing pigment present in the RBC. We discussed that point. Oxygen can bind with hemoglobin in a reversible manner. Oxygen can bind with hemoglobin. Here, hemoglobin binding with the oxygen and form oxyhemoglobin. Again, this oxyhemoglobin dissociating and form hemoglobin and oxygen. Okay, this is in a reversible manner. This reaction can occur in on both ways. Okay, hemoglobin here oxygen can bind with hemoglobin in a reversible manner to form oxyhemoglobin. Each hemoglobin molecule can carry, I showed you here, each hemoglobin molecule can carry a maximum of, it can carry one also, but maximum four molecules of four molecules of oxygen. The binding of oxygen with hemoglobin is primarily related to, I showed you here, the binding with hemoglobin primarily related to PO2. Sorry, this is PO2, partial pressure of oxygen. It primarily depends on PO2, partial pressure of oxygen. Partial pressure of CO2, hydrogen ion concentration, and temperature are the other factors which can which can interfere with this binding. Okay, this binding. Okay, partial pressure of oxygen is the main factor for binding of oxygen with hemoglobin. There are some other factors. Those factors also can influence. What are those other factors? One is partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Okay, another one is hydrogen ion concentration, that means pH, and temperature are the other factors. These are the other factors which can interfere with this binding. Here, hemoglobin binding with oxygen. This binding primarily depends on partial pressure of oxygen. If partial pressure of oxygen is more, this binding also would be. The other factors that can influence this binding, those are partial pressure of CO2 and partial pressure and H plus ion concentration and temperature. These factors also can influence this binding. For example, if there is more CO2, then this binding does not occur. If there is more temperature, the more binding does not occur. If there are more H plus concentration, binding does not occur. Okay, primarily this binding depends on oxygen, partial pressure of oxygen. The other factors also can influence this binding. Those are partial pressure of carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration, and temperature are the other factors which can influence this binding. A sigmoid curve, very very important. What is the shape of the oxygen dissociation curve? What is the shape of the oxygen dissociation curve? This graph is a 2 marks one. 2 marks question we have to this graph. It is given in a different manner, right shift and left shift also there in state textbook. Okay, that is a 2 marks. You have to practice that one. A sigmoid, it is in the shape of the letter S, letter sigma in the Greek alphabet. In the Greek alphabet, there are so many letters: alpha, beta, gamma, theta, delta, epsilon. Like that, there are many. One of the letters is sigma in Greek. Okay, as it appearing like a Greek alphabet sigma, it is named as sigmoid curve. Okay, oxygen dissociation curve shape is S-shaped one or sigmoid curve is obtained. Okay, what is this? What are we taking here on x-axis? What are we taking on y-axis? How do we get this oxygen dissociation curve? A sigmoid curve is obtained when the partial pressure of oxygen with O2 is plotted against the when the percentage saturation. This is the percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen. We take it on y-axis. Next on x-axis, what we take? Partial pressure of O2, PO2. Partial pressure of O2, PO2, and in which is measured in mmHg is taken on. When you plot a graph when you see the relation between these two, you get the sigmoid. Observe here. This curve is called oxygen dissociation curve. What do we call this curve? Oxygen dissociation curve. This curve is also called oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. We can also call this one oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. Okay, oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. As per NCERT textbook, it is, we can call it, this is the other name for that one. It is called oxygen dissociation curve and is highly useful. What is the significance of what can we learn from this graph? It is highly useful in studying effects of factors like PCO2, H plus concentration, and binding of oxygen with how this binding of oxygen with hemoglobin is influenced by PCO2, H plus ion concentration. When PCO2 and H plus ions are very high, the binding does not occur. Okay, and binding up in the alveoli where partial pressure of oxygen is very high. Look at this one here. Partial pressure of oxygen is what? 100. Okay, in the alveolus I told you partial pressure of oxygen is 104. That means around 100. When the partial pressure of oxygen is high, that means here 100 is there. And at lungs, we know partial pressure of oxygen is low temperature, lesser H plus and lower temperature are present at our lungs. Here the factors are favorable for formation of oxyhemoglobin. Here oxyhemoglobin, oxygen, that means what is meant by oxyhemoglobin? Okay, hemoglobin binds with oxygen and form HbO2. This is called oxyhemoglobin. What do we call this one? Oxyhemoglobin alveoli in our lungs, where partial pressure of oxygen is very high, 100 here. Hemoglobin is very high. And here PCO2 is less. PCO2 in our lungs is what? 40 mmHg. And lesser H plus concentration. That means high pH. And lower temperature are present. These are the conditions that prevail at our alveoli. These all factors are favorable for the formation of oxyhemoglobin. All are favorable for the formation of oxyhemoglobin. What is oxyhemoglobin? Okay, this is the molecule, this is the structure of oxyhemoglobin. This is the formula HbO2. When high oxygen bind with hemoglobin, that is what is this one? Oxyhemoglobin. Hb, hemoglobin is denoted with Hb, oxyhemoglobin. Okay, next one. Whereas in the tissues, when you come to tissue, the partial pressure of oxygen, this is present at tissue. This condition is present at alveoli. When oxyhemoglobin comes to tissues, the partial pressure of oxygen in the tissues is 40 mmHg. What happens? Okay, whereas in the tissues, I am now talking about tissues. At tissue, where low PO2, high PCO2, here the conditions all are quite opposite. At tissue PO2 is 40, high PCO2 is 45, high H plus concentration, higher temperature is present. Higher H plus means low pH value. Okay, these all conditions are favorable for dissociation of. Now here, what is this one? Oxyhemoglobin. This oxyhemoglobin now dissociates. It forms Hb plus O2. In this way, it dissociates. For dissociation of oxygen from oxyhemoglobin, this clearly indicates that oxygen gets bound to hemoglobin. Oxygen gets bound to hemoglobin where? At alveoli, at lung surface. And next one, and gets dissociated. Okay, it gets dissociated. Okay, where? At the tissues. At the tissues. Okay, as I explained this one, every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver about 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues under normal physiological conditions. Okay, that's about this part, transport of oxygen. Okay, it is not yet completed. The remaining part of transport of gases would be completed in the next part.